go ahead and call this workshop to order. Everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Carly, if you can call the roll, please.
Nightinger.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Penny.
Here. Okay. Well, the first item looks exciting as compared to the second item. Let's look at Dolphin statue design proposals.
Okay, so unfortunately, he was not able to get us in a second. The artist that we were looking at to do a second design, he was not able to get a second one in. I'm just gonna hand these out though.
Did he remove the
did,
both?
yeah, he sent us an updated, so these are ones that we had before, so if you wanna take one and pass. Those are the ones you've already
Okay.
seen, but I just wanna make sure everybody had a copy. And then this is the update, he kinda moved some trees over in case we wanted something in the sunset. If you want just plain sunset, you would do that. So that's the updated version without the boat. This is the version before with the boat.
Oh, yeah. Remember that one.
So then the question is just, are you good with moving forward with putting any of these out? Or do you want us to try to reach out to more artists to get more options? What are your
Except for the
thoughts?
bow.
So we're just gonna set out two,
Three,
three, like the one on top, the one on the bottom, and the one without the boat? Is that, everybody else consensus on that?
I mean, how much time do you have to give people if they don't wanna, you started this when? Putting this out?
April?
Yeah, I mean, really?
Beginning of May?
How much time you wanna give people if they don't wanna?
So,
Yeah.
And we're gonna ask for public opinion?
that's what I was gonna
As
do.
to-
I was gonna put it on the Facebook page,
As a vote, just basically a majority wins.
but wanted to make sure that you guys were good with whatever, like if you only wanted to pick two or whatever, because once the public picks, that would be it. So I just wanna make sure it wasn't one that, we weren't putting out something that you didn't like, that
Okay,
could in
no, I
theory
see.
be chosen and have you all not be happy with it. So we can put out
Personally, I'm kind of,
two, all three.
I'm torn between the one that that looks like our bench and the one without the boat.
Yeah, that's,
Cause you know, when I walk up, like
That's
today,
the
I
one
walk
I
here
like.
again,
Yep.
and I get here and I can imagine the one with the, looks like the benches sitting out front, but that's all you can see when you walk up.
Yeah.
But I know once you got up there, you'd have the bench and the dolphin looking the same. And then, of course, you're sitting in the bench and you're looking out at the sunset, to look at the one with the sunset, is kind of a good thought, whereas, you know, the one on top, to me, is just dark.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just the way it's drawn and it's just not.
I mean, I would be okay
too much
with
blue.
those
It's
two.
awful-
I
awful
like the
busy,
one on the
too.
bottom though.
it's dark and busy.
Well, if you go back to the one with the palm tree where we had the boat take off, that is effectively the same color scheme as the city colors. It's
It
just
is,
more-
it
It's
is.
more in a,
Yeah.
more in an artistic,
Yeah.
less linear format.
Yeah, and they all are, I guess,
That-
they
that-
used all our colors, it's just one has more of
That's
the
the one I
darker
like.
colors.
That's what I like too.
I like that too.
Yeah, that, if,
Well, let's put two out there then. I mean, we wanna let them pick, right?
It's up to you guys.
Yeah.
If there's one that you all are like, this is the one we want, then we can do that. If you want
They're gonna
to,
get a chance to.
yeah,
look at
it's,
it.
it's really whatever you wanna do.
yeah, I'm all for having more citizen involvement.
Yeah,
And
the
that's
point was
purpose of
kind
it,
of community
Yeah,
engagement,
yeah,
that was the
engagement.
So do we
point.
have a,
But-
And driving them to the
do we
website.
Yeah.
have a consensus
I mean, to
to
the
just do
The
Facebook.
Facebook
two?
page.
Yeah,
Everybody fine with that?
Two is fine.
Okay,
Alright.
so
So
the
those
one
two.
where that is
The
kind of
ship's
similar
gone
to the,
and the
and
bench.
the bottom one there, okay.
So Carly, are you gonna put them on the website and on the Facebook?
I'm
or-
gonna post them on the website, but in order to vote, you will have to go to the
And you'll say
Facebook
that on the
page.
website.
Mhm.
Oh, it's perfect.
So if you only happen to check the
Gonna drive
website,
them to the Facebook.
Yeah, I love it.
so you'll be aware of it if you go to the Facebook page, but in order to actually participate, you will, or
Okay.
it'll be wherever you go to the website.
It's too bad you can't have the public click follow, to follow our page.
yeah.
We could, we could.
In order to vote, you must follow
You
them.
must follow.
What's the,
Be hard
when
to
do we
check.
anticipate
Just
this
trying to get the
actually
information
being
out
on
there to
the
everybody,
Facebook
you know,
page?
so-
And how long are we gonna keep it up there for voting?
I'm gonna try to get it posted by the end of the week, just because I want to go back to,
30 days?
like this artist, this is the way she sent it to me with her information over it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask her to send it to me without that,
Without that.
because I don't want any identifying
Activity,
information, and honestly, I just
Right.
want like cleaner images. So as soon as I get those back from them, I can have it posted within a day.
Okay.
So whenever we're done here, I'll go reach out to them and say, hey, I need these versions. And then I'd say we'll give them a week, 2 weeks, 2 weeks maybe. I mean, how long would you?
21 days.
It needs to be
3
longer,
weeks?
yeah.
You guys
3
think?
weeks to
You
vote?
give people time?
I think 2 to
Just
3
weeks?
is enough.
Get it over with?
Because as we keep posting stuff
I-
on our
yeah, I don't
Facebook
wanna
page,
keep-
it gets.
It's gonna get-
it's
it's gonna
very-
disappear. It
Yeah,
gets
so.
And what you, now you can make it stay at the top, right?
I can pin it, yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
it won't
2 weeks is
repeat
fine.
in those
Yeah, I think 2 weeks is all we need,
Yeah.
personally.
Okay, so once it's posted, we'll have it up for 2 weeks. So, okay, yep, I
What
just.
is the cost of this gonna be for the polling?
The one with the, let me make sure I get this right, the one that is more like defined stripes, I believe is 2,200.
Okay.
And then the one that is the more kind of,
Without the
the one
boat.
without the boat
One we like.
is 28.
Okay.
So can
So-
we have another contest to see which citizen's gonna pay for it?
Exactly. So,
Tom's volunteering, he makes that.
so,
All
all right, so we will pursue that. and
Pay
get
for it,
that.
have your name etched in the bottom. All
And running. Okay, thank you.
right, thank you.
Guess who's next?
All right, Jim, let's look at the budget.
You look like you're going to the dentist.
Yeah, right. That's good. Speaking of the dentist,
Yeah.
here comes the chief.
Yeah, it's gonna be a few minutes, but.
Oh, okay. I'll do that. Go away.
Oh, we chased him already.
Oh, no.
Chased him off. Look at that. All right.
I gave you a packet that's kind of in order, but that's how I was thinking I was gonna go through it. But before I get into that, I did want to mention, our audit is due under state law by June 30th. We're not gonna meet that deadline. Peter Hansel had a bypass surgery this way.
Oh.
So he was out for like 2 months, so they're behind.
I'm sure that's a legitimate excuse.
Well,
Right?
we got a call into the Auditor General, we've talked to him about it before, and typically what happens when you don't file on time is they send a list to the legislature at some point. They do that in August, so we pretty much have till August 1st to get it done. So Peter's goal is July 31st to get it done. They send that list, and if you don't file your return, they can withhold state monies from you, so that's the ultimate. So it's important, yes, so.
How's he doing? I mean,
He's back to work, but he started out part-time. I haven't actually seen him since the surgery. I've seen, his staff, but, then they got called out last week. They're actually not in. They're not gonna be until next week, so, which is kind of good because it gives me a reprieve. She has to work out budget and not be, worried about the audit, but I did want to give the heads up because when we don't hit that, the auditor general will likely send a letter to us saying, hey, where's your,
Cut off.
well, no, he'll send a letter saying, where's your audit report, basically. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be fine. All right.
Getting into budget, I don't know why I can't talk lately. The first schedule I gave y'all, Exhibit A1, we did get the estimated taxable values from the county. They sent it on May 31st, actually. And basically, what I gave you, I blew up the sheet, and I gave that to y'all just to look at when you get a chance. It's got all the other cities and the county, so you can kind of see what their taxable values were and what the increases were. Our values went up about $100 million. Values are up 13.253%. So it went from 362,000 to 910,830,033. So on this Exhibit A1, it's a little bit early. We haven't, made any decisions, but I try to show you based on those numbers, what the rollback rate would be. Our existing rate is 4.965 mils. That's what we did last year. In all truth, I don't anticipate going backwards on that, because as you recall, last year we had kind of talked about, we're at 6 months of operating revenue. We were trying to work up back towards 9. And I think our attempt at that got us, it was to try to get just 1 month. So we still have a couple of months to work on. So I would definitely not be thinking we'd go to rollback. But with the increase in values, it means about $536,000 more dollars in revenue, which is good, because I think our monthly average operating is about $600,000. So that's kind of a good thing. The other rates that you see there are statutory rates that are set by the state. Basically, the third one in, the 4.5708 mils is what they call the majority vote rate. And basically, it takes the rollback times, and this year it's taken it times 1.0284%. The 2.84 is what the state estimates that the annual income growth has been for the state of Florida. So they basically bump the rollback up to that rate, and anything that rate up to that 2/3 vote rate requires a majority vote. So it would require a 3 out of 5 vote by the commission. And so our existing rate falls between those two numbers, so it would require a majority vote, obviously. The 2/3 vote rate set by the state, anything over that requires a unanimous, over that would require unanimous, but that rate requires 2/3 vote, which is basically for our commission 4 out of 5 votes. So that's kind of how they set it up, and when you do your trim, they're looking at those rates as guidance and basically telling you what your votes have to be to pass them. So I just wanted to show you that and give you this handout so you can see what the other cities are looking like compared to us.
Okay.
And we'll obviously come back to those once we get towards the end of the general fund budget process. The next handout that I put in there, basically I'm working on the budget, and I'm gonna use a 6% COLA initially as a proposal that I'm proposing to the commission for general employees. Our firefighters have a contract. They negotiated 7% last year, 4% this year, and 4% next year. So firefighters will be at the 4%. Recommending the 6% because we pulled up the consumer price index for Tampa St. Petersburg, and that's what this top thing is. In March through March, it's 7.7%. Basically, what they're saying the cost of living has been in Tampa Bay. I went on last night to see if I could see April to April. There's nothing out there that I could see as of last night. So So we're looking at that for the Tampa Bay area. If you look at the national average, it's lower than that, so.
Not too long ago, it was like at 9, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember 8 point.
Yeah, almost up there, yeah.
Yeah. It's
The
coming
rough first of
down
the year.
nationally, I know that, so.
Right.
Then the other two schedules, this Schedule A2, what I tried to do is, it just to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about when we talked about salaries. The general employees is everybody but fire, and then fire management I added down at the bottom. And what I'm trying to do here is give you the cost is 6%, including benefits. So including benefits, it's $147,356. I'm sorry, $147,235. And then in the next column, I basically just take that divided by 6 to give you an estimate of what 1% would cost, and then you can see with the different increments. I gave a 4%, a 5%, and a 7%. So you can see, what the cost would be, so. The second page, Exhibit A3 is the fire management salaries, which carries forward to the front page, so it's included in that total that I just read you. And then Exhibit A4 is the fire department, which is a contracted rate at 4% cost. With benefits was about $85,358 for this thing. So those will be built into the initial numbers that I give you when I put the totals in. Any questions on that, or comments?
Pretty simple.
Okay. And I'm kind of just going through these things because in order to get the fire station, I have to kind of do the whole picture on the insurance bit. The next packet is just my health insurance estimate. And basically what I did is I took the 2-year average in 2022. That's the third page, and you'll see Exhibit A6. I got a history of health insurance premiums if you wanted to take a look at this. In 23, it was up 7%. In 22, it was 10. What I did is I just took the average of the last 2 years, and I'm projecting 8.5%. Health insurance, they won't give us numbers till late August, so we won't know what they are till late August. So for the budget, I used 8.5%. Our current employee cost is $1,046.36 per month. And so if I bump that by the 8.5%, it comes to $1,128.79 per month. Times 12, it's about $13,545 is the cost for health insurance per employee that the city pays. The city pays employee portion of coverage. In addition to that, we have in our, I think it's in our fire agreement, we cover 30% of the dependent coverage.
Are we planning the same insurance and as far as that goes? I mean,
At this point, we're happy with the plan, but, depending on what the numbers come back, yeah, we can always take a look at other options if we have to.
Well, last year, we predicted 8.3, and it came in at 7, it looked like. But now that's something you adjust anyway before the actual budget goes in, so it's,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't keep the 8 point in there.
I mean, it's all gonna be competitive. at this point, you know, or you're not gonna get a good deal from a different company, really.
No, I don't.
Would be
yeah.
cutting back on the coverage and don't really wanna do that either.
So, I mean, at this point, all we can do is anticipate,
That's really not a bad rate.
the 30% is, we don't really have a lot of employees utilizing it because the dependent coverage is so expensive. So with the employee paying 70%, most people can't afford it. On that second page of that exhibit A5 on the bottom, right now, we only have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people utilizing that dependent coverage. I was using it, I came off, my wife went on Medicare, so she went on Medicare. You can see that the cost down there, the actual cost is actually about 26,616. But just in general, just to kind of give a recap, for citywide health insurance, I'm budgeting, if you look at that, right above that amount on the second page. What I have is, the left column is kind of like what we could be on the hook for. And it actually could be more. If every employee used the 30% coverage and everybody used, we also have a health reimbursement. The city pays $500 per employee per year towards certain co-pays for hospital and inpatient services. So like in that left column, if every employee, that would be 21,000. I'm only budgeting 12, okay? And I'm not even sure if we're using that, but that of anything, that's the one I would probably totally budget if I had to. And the dependent coverage, like I said, 178,007, I think is still a conservative, because you don't know what mixture, you don't know if people would buy family coverage, if they buy employee and children, employee and spouse, so I just kind of average it out. But I'm only budgeting 74,904 spread between the different departments compared to that 26,000 actual cost. So there's a little bit extra in case we get some additional signups. So I think the point to take away from this is total cost for the health program to the city that we're budgeting is $375,463. And I think it will actually come in slightly less than that, you know, because of the nature of things. So, when we get to the fire department, you'll see that I budgeted 300, that's on the first page, you'll see that I budgeted 321,950 for the fire department, compared to about 300,000 815 last year, so it's up about 21,000. And that's just by nature of the 8.5% increase, basically, so. Okay. Next, exhibit A7 is a history of what I call our general insurance. And this is a kind of a real ouch. Talked to Andy Cooper at World Risk Management, and he said underwriters he said it's a bad market out there. They're having a hard time. He said especially with property coverages.
Tell me about it.
So he told me to budget a 35% increase on property. General liability, he told me 17.5%, and workers' comp, 14.5%. So on the second page there, Exhibit AA, I basically took the prior year premium, which was $250,300, and upped it by those percentages to come up with 307,685 rounded. Those are the insurance coverages that we buy through Public Risk Management, PRM. Oral Risk Management, I guess they do the underwriting for PRM. On the third page, you'll see Exhibit A9. That's the last page of the spreadsheet where I allocate the different property coverages to the various departments. But in addition to the premiums for public risk management, we also have about $67,781 in other coverages, the biggest one being flood insurance for the city. And basically, I bumped those 5% from the current rates. That's about what they typically run. And so, like flood insurance is $62,150. And you'll see how I allocated them across the different departments. 513 is finance and administration, you'll see at the top. 522 is our fire department. 524 is our community improvement department. 541 is public works, and 401 is our sewer fund. So that's kind of how I allocate the premiums down at the bottom. You'll see the total premiums go across. So when we get to the fire department, you'll see $96,650 for general insurance on the budget. And it consists of these items. Flood for fire is $17,850. We have that FPL IPA 735. That's our tank insurance for our gas tank. Under state law, we're required to carry accidental death and disability for firefighters. That's the $1,139. That crime policy is optional. I don't even know if we have that $250, but I put it in the budget. And then we do have a cancer policy, which was new in 2019. It covers our firefighters. So, okay. So, just in general, on the general insurance, percentages are high. I hope they come down from what he proposed, but that's
Almost think we can't count on that, the way things have been going.
well, in the past, he's usually been a little bit high on his verbal estimates, so I just hope when they come in, it comes down just a little bit, but he just didn't have a good thought. From there, we will jump into the fire budget. Chief can come up if you like. Try to, all in all, when I went through it, I didn't really see anything that really jumps out at me. I guess just to start, county sheriff contract,
We don't know yet, is that an estimate?
you know, that's actual.
Oh.
They sent those us already.
They gave us a 7.95% increase, comes to $997,572, and I added $500 for the lock party for that, so our budget,
Wow.
$998,75, just consists of those two items. The chief does have I know he's got a breakdown that I think we wanted to try to look at and figure out.
Most of the increases were salary benefits, contractual obligations to their employees.
Next item down there is traffic signals. It's kind of a touchy subject.
They're not the DOTs? Or we own the signals? Or we kind of.
I wish they worked the way I wanted them to. I mean, they're
I don't know
terrible.
who owns them, but the touchy subject is the county's billing us $4,825 a year. And I bumped that by 8% to $52.65. DOT called me and said, county said, oh, just send us, they pay us, the Department of Transportation pays us $40,415 for traffic signal maintenance, they pay us. said,
that
well,
works.
the county said, just send us the check. And I said, no, don't send them the check. Send the check to us. I'm not really, quite sure how it should work. I don't know if at the county, they don't, left hand doesn't know what right hand is doing. But until they bill us.
Are we supposed to maintain them? Is that why they send us the money?
We have to maintain it, and actually, I think there's a contract on the night meeting for approval, so, with
I mean,
the county.
physically, we have to maintain them. So Public Works?
No, physically, we don't, no.
Oh.
We're responsible to maintain them.
Oh,
We can
But-
contract out, and the county is actually doing the physical maintenance of these signals. And
oh, okay.
And I would assume that they would bill us the proper amount, but they're billing us $4,000 a year. And a couple of years back, we talked to the people and told them, hey.
We're being reimbursed different than what they're charging us.
So I don't know what, I don't know,
Just hold on to it.
so I don't know
Yeah, let's,
where that's going, I don't know.
shouldn't even talk about that. Sounds like a good deal.
Well, the reason I mention it is if they were ever to turn around and say,
Yeah, yeah.
going.
Yeah.
So just so you know.
It's sitting there.
It won't be budgeted.
We did make them aware.
Right.
We did make them
We
aware.
had several discussions and they were like, okay, so
And they just kind of went,
we made them aware.
Just this, is this the bus or something there? I mean, I see
We
it's
used
zero
to have
dollar.
a bus, sir, but we don't pay anything. We haven't for years.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so we haven't paid anything for years.
Yeah, then, what, 2007? I think or something like that.
It's a long time.
I'd have to go back as well.
Yeah. I think it's just before I got in.
Okay, fire. Let's,
Okay. Fire. Fire was something new that we did with fire is, and we did it for internal purposes, we are attempting to split out EMS and fire services. The idea being that if we could account for it when we do our true-up to the county, we could just go to our financials. So in 2022, we started that process. Going through the budget, I can see we didn't do a real good job getting all the costs in there, so we really had nothing to compare to. So when I did this, I did break out EMS so you all can see the breakout. We're allocating, the total budget for fire, and I guess if you look at Exhibit A, and you go to the second page there, in the first left two columns for 23 and 24, that's fire only. And then when I did this, I said, I think the commission doesn't really care about that breakout. And so in the last two columns, I put fire and EMS together so you can see the total budget. On page 2, the total fire budget is $3,566,245, and you can see at the bottom, it's about a 4.35%. So a 4% increase from last year, which seems totally reasonable to me. So we broke that out. If you look over that third column and the fire-only budget, the green and the green, those are the things that compare to each other. The fire-only budget is $2,424,250, and if you go down to the bottom of that page, we're allocating $1,141,495 to EMS. And basically, for the county allows us 6 paramedics, and they let us pick which 6 we want to allocate to that. And so we got 6 guys in payroll. Those payroll expenses are coming to this account.
What was the contingency that we eliminated, that third item down from the top, account name? We eliminated 62,024.
What I saw in that account, but I don't know the dollar amounts of it. Number one, I saw the 750.
vaccine incentive.
Vaccine incentive, thank you.
What is it?
$750 per employee vaccine incentive that we
That's right.
paid out using the American Rescue Plan. That was only $20,500 for the whole city, but in addition to that, if you recall last year's budget, I think we budgeted $85,000
For vacation payout.
for vacation payout. And that's what was intended for that budget. That 85 was allocated. We'll see contingency of
Wondering why we didn't need it this year.
and we did.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Because it really looks like the increases in here are just pension and insurance are really your major increases.
Right.
Everything else is status quo, so. Okay, all right. What else we got?
The accounting and auditing dropping, there's a red entry there on page 2.
Training and education?
Yeah, I was gonna leave for Chief to talk about, because at our last meeting, we talked about, we need to hire 2 new firefighters, and we were talking about training, paying for that, the city paying for that, so I put it in red to remind me, do we need to bump that budget?
Yeah, so currently what we are working on is we have a proposed contract with our legal. Chris was kind enough to send it to Susan Spradley, our HR attorney, to look at it. What we would look to do is hire an EMT, firefighter EMT, with the contingency that they become a firefighter paramedic within 3 years. So we would get them signed up in schooling, pay for the schooling. They would participate in the schooling on their own time, test, do whatever they had to do for school on own time. Not paid with overtime. That is, a requirement to get that certification as part of the job. Once they obtained their state paramedic certification and became a county certified paramedic, they would then owe us 3 years of employment minimum. If they did choose to leave within those 3 years, they would then owe us for that paramedic schooling.
In full.
Yes, sir. What I did was I polled the fire chiefs throughout the county to try to find out a price. There's 2 main schools that they're utilizing here in the county. 4 schools total, but the 2 main ones were St. Pete College and what's a new school called the School of EMS. The School of EMS was an existing paramedic program that was actually purchased by the company that runs Sunstar. So they put them through. St. Pete College, to get through the paramedic program in total, coursework, books, uniforms, etc., is running about $5,500. The School of EMS is running $8,500.
Uniforms.
So when they do ride time, they're required to wear a school uniform,
Oh,
St.
I
Pete
see.
College uniform, correct.
Now, our guys that we hire that are in paramedic school, they've paid for that, right? But do they don't do that they do overtime, or it's always on their time? So the schools are flexible enough.
Yeah, that was going to be the next point, and you'll see this. The School of EMS costs more. It is a private facility. That is more of an online-based program, so there's pros and cons to that. You really need to be self-disciplined, self-motivated. Their state pass rate is not quite as high as the St. Pete College. St. Pete College does require, though, class time. It is a shift-friendly schedule. How they do that is they'll run the same course Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So if you're on duty Monday, you go Tuesday, right? You can pick, the 2 days are the same, you simply pick one, work around your schedule. But that does require time in the classroom for the personnel we hire. It's
They go twice a week to class?
roughly, and then there is some clinical time which they schedule, hands-on time, which if you guys remember, we brought that contract for signature also that would allow them to do 24 hours ride time. So if they're our employee, they can do ride time with our personnel, and they can do 24 hours at a
I
time.
mean, it all sounds like a great idea, but this isn't really an increase. It's the same thing that's been in there since '22, right?
No, that's why we put it in red. My request would be, based on those costs, is to add 15 grand worst case scenario to
To bring it
that.
up to 35?
Yes, sir.
And what about the red at the bottom down there, that auditing accounting, it has nothing to do with that, I guess?
That's out of my wheelhouse
Something
there.
different? All right,
So you're
so let's go back to that
recommending,
one.
What are we looking at?
you're
Right
recommending,
there, the red one.
Let's go back to training and education first.
so you're recommending the St. Pete College, as opposed to giving them a choice to going to one or the other?
No, I would recommend giving them a
Exhibit A,
choice.
page
Oh, you
3.
would?
Yeah.
Just get them in
Halfway down,
sooner.
Two-thirds of the way down on the right.
Well,
It's
seeing
in
the
red.
difficulty it is to find people, and especially with the qualifications we need, the 15 is probably, it's worth it. I see it's a good way to go.
Yeah, 6605.
Well, and then you're getting people that are gonna be
I just forgot to
dedicated to
unread it.
doing that. Right, I mean, that really wanna do it, maybe couldn't
gonna put
afford to do
unread
it on their own. That makes sense. We're in a bad space right now.
And it's not just us. I saw Hillsborough County unfortunately got ahead of us. They did a similar advertisement on the A list yesterday, which comes from the state fire college. It's an email blast statewide, and they're hiring firefighter EMTs and with the requirement that they go to paramedic school. So it's unfortunately the schools are just not turning out as many personnel that are retiring from the fire service right now. We saw huge retirement numbers during and right post-COVID, and we're just not catching up with the available graduates.
So pretty much throughout the county, everybody's struggling with this.
Oh, it's everywhere. You
state.
could, yeah, it's everywhere. There's
Yeah,
a total lack in the industry completely.
wow.
And it's scary because at some point, you know, right now, we're doing overtime to cover for our 2 personnel down. And like anything, right, overtime always starts out great as, you know, hey, making some extra money, but then the fatigue sets in, and that's where I'm starting to hear a little bit now that, you know, it's getting a bit tiresome. So we keep advertising. We actually opened our NTN advertisement as until filled instead of putting an end date on it. You know, as soon as people pop on the list, I reach out to them right away.
Once this is approved, how quick do you think you could get somebody? You think you'd have more EMTs jumping in?
That's what we're hearing so far from the other departments that are doing it. My fear is the longer we wait, that pool shrinks also.
Yeah, we gotta do it.
Now, the academies do graduate regularly, I think twice a year now. The academies do tend to graduate a much larger number of firefighter EMTs than firefighter paramedics. What's happening now is when a paramedic enters the fire academy, they're hired before they're done by larger departments. So if you go to the fire academy and give your presentation for your department, you'll find that most of the paramedics are already working for or, you know, spoken for by an agency. But we do think with this plan, we find the right person for our department who is a good firefighter EMT. And like you said, maybe there's a time or financial reason they haven't yet gone to paramedic school. But, you know, to be able to do that while you're working at a fire department and learning from the other firefighter paramedics around you who are good at what they do, I think that's going to be a plus too. It's almost like getting double schooling. And 2 of our personnel are actually employed by St. Pete College in the paramedic program. One of them is the lead clinical instructor, so we do tend to have some good, almost tutor-type personnel, if you know, for lack of a better word, that can really help with those difficult subjects in paramedic school. It's not easy. And there is a risk too that, you know, and we did put, if it's not completed in 3 years, that we could separate employment for that reason. We're hiring them with the intent that they complete this program and become a paramedic. You know, if not, we would have to move on and find someone else.
Could you still make a decision to, during their probation period, if it doesn't seem to be going well, to say yeah?
And that's what we have to do. And that's
Yeah.
what we have to have.
Because you have to do that anyway. Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be the right fit long-term for the
Yeah.
department, the right, quality individual. Not only do we require them to be a good, you know, practitioner, but we require them to be a good, you know, steward of the department to this community, take care about this community, and how they interact with other folks, so, internally and externally.
Sounds like a winner.
Great.
Gotta do it.
So we would add 15,000 to that budget.
Yep.
So the training and education budget for 2024 is going from 20 to 35,000. Okay.
We have consensus on that, correct? Okay.
Yes.
I don't see anything in the EMS budget we need to discuss, unless you guys have something you've chosen out of there. What else you got there?
Good.
We'll move on to B1.
Yeah, these other two schedules just break out fire and EMS, so I did.
Yeah, or just head on to Exhibit D.
And, yes, I'm ready to go to legislative. I think, that's why I say when I was doing this, putting it together halfway through, it's like, what's gonna be the best presentation? And I kinda thought it'd be better presented in
How
total.
come physicals are less? Not much, but
I don't,
Where are you?
I don't
Where are
think,
you?
medical physicals,
What page?
B1. Right here?
because it's split between two
Fire and
departments.
EMS.
Oh, right, okay.
If you add fire and EMS, it's the same. It didn't change. That's why the first page
Yeah.
is the best thing to look at the total budget,
Okay.
because, it had. Nothing really jumped out that day on that. Legislative, I did not make a lot of changes, I did, bump the salaries by 6% and adjust the social security accordingly. Legal, I guess the best way to look at this in my mind is to look at D and D2 is it gives you a 5-year history of what you're spending in there, and outside legal services, we spent about, we spent 65. I dropped it back. I don't know why. Oh, I took the 3-year average is what I did. 67, 989. But most all those other categories, we've spent less, but I'm not gonna make any changes without your consent.
What was 21? Why was 21 higher than?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't remember?
Not 21? No, wasn't here.
Are you sure?
21, that was COVID,
Yeah, maybe.
so.
Fire, the
If we
fire,
had something, it might have been all the work on the
fire station,
the beginning stuff or something.
the property.
No,
Yeah.
because we spend
Sorry?
a lot of legal, but it's being charged to capital, the legal, so, right now, so.
Oh, it's
I can go back
$30,000.
and
It
look.
should have been back then unless we,
I
like
can't
it
think of
could have been
anything
those
in
properties when we didn't
21.
buy them.
Let me go back and look.
Capitalized it, yeah. But right now, we were spending more with Ray Robinson, but it's being capitalized, but that'll go away when the fire station goes away. These are normal, legal issues that would pop up in the normal.
Let me see here, non-retainer matters. Let me see here.
I mean, I could cut it back to 65, but
It looks like COVID is a big part of that. I'm looking at our invoices from
I'm sure.
2021. So a lot of the vaccine,
22 was 65, 60,
Questions?
yeah. I guess the 67 is there, it was just a considerable amount difference.
I can ask somebody to try to pull it back up if you want.
No.
Yeah, no.
I'm looking at the invoices now.
It's close enough.
I just saw that it was below six, maybe up around that 65, 63 mark. So 68, I've given a little bit more, but I,
It went up like 11,000 in '22.
Budgeted 770 for 2023. Are we close to that?
So we also had some personnel, situations in 2021 that went a little further than some of our other ones. Oh, and also it looks like, we were going back and forth about, 900 Pasadena Avenue, the storage
Yeah.
facility. So it doesn't look like any one specific large thing,
Just a
but
lot.
900, the COVID vaccine and, those issues, and then some personnel stuff, just a couple of things that were more than normal, from what I'm going through all our invoices right now.
Yeah, it's still, the legislative budget only went up 1.31% for '24. I mean, it's nothing compared to what we've looked at there.
Franchise agreement with Duke Energy, we also did.
I think we're good. Everybody good?
Okay.
I could pull.
There's a
I
lot
could
of
pull
small
an
stuff
analysis
all
of-
year
We're
that
fine.
was
We don't have to dig all that
different.
stuff out.
I know, I think I looked at 23 and and based on where we're at, I didn't think we were gonna hit it, that's why.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were gonna hit the 70, so that's why I kind of dropped it back.
So right now, we've got 6% built in for an increase for the employees and everything else. We added another 15,000 for fire training. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. It's a pretty tight budget.
That's all I have for today, and unfortunately, I wanted to get more, but I think by next week, I should have all the departments in, the revenues posted, and very possibly we get through all the departments.
What do we have left, CID and Public Works?
CID, Public Works, Finance, and Administration.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And then after that, we do have sewer, reclaimed water. And I don't know, Gail wasn't here, but last year we opted to not raise sewer or reclaimed water because of the economy. But I think this year we might want to consider some kind of an increase because the processing fees have been going up. Even the reclaimed water processing fees were like up like 25%, some ridiculous amount, so we may want to look at that. I got a call in, I got an email back from St. Pete, they said use 5% for increase in processing fees this year, but that's just it's just an estimate. They won't know till July, I think, what the actual will be. So they told me use 5%, so that combined with last year's increase, we may want to consider raising sewer fees. But I don't think I'll have that ready next week, but possibly the next one. But hopefully I'll have the big picture for you, so we can see where we're
So
falling.
we're still scheduled for next Tuesday then. Everything's, no Thursdays so far.
So far.
All right. Is there anything else? Admin?
One thing I was gonna mention, I don't know if it's because I don't have a lot of detail on it yet, but, and I don't know, Carly may have mentioned it. Under state law, we have new rules for auditor selection. And basically, under the new state law, me and Carly can't be on a committee. So we need to move fairly quickly. We're gonna have to do an RFP for accounting services. I'm hoping maybe by early July to get something drafted up. But we have to assign an audit committee. We were looking at the city of Seminole, and their commission is their audit committee. They have to select somebody to be like the chair, and basically the law, I mean, we're looking for ways out, but basically if we were able last year to use the same firm because he didn't change his fees, but I don't think he's gonna, he has said he can't do it again.
Because usually it was like the two of you and the Commissioner of Finance,
Correct.
Right,
right?
right.
Can you give a recommendation? Not really.
I think we can be like
I think
advisors, we can
be
give like,
advisor, but we
yeah.
can't be on the committee.
Be a sounding board.
We
And
can't
the way
choose.
I'm reading the statute is almost like you have to get RFPs, because that was kind of my question is, do you have, it's up to the audit committee, which is you all. The typical process is to do an RFP, and they talk about getting 3 or more. You basically want to get your 3 best selections, and it doesn't have to be based on money, it can be based on quality. So they stipulate that right in the statute.
So we're losing our auditor after this year.
Not necessarily, but
I would expect them to rebid.
I think the.
I thought you said that they weren't going to do it.
No, they have to
No,
rebid.
no,
They have to rebid.
He
Just
can't
one
keep,
more.
he
We
can't
have to,
keep
yeah.
fees the same, he has said, because he's kept them the same for like 3 years in a
Yeah.
row. So he's got to raise the fees, and because he's changing the contract, we can no longer, if he didn't raise the fees, we could use the contract and wouldn't have to go through this process.
You can renew if none of the terms change,
So
which is
that
what they've
renewal
been
has to
doing
go
with
out to
us,
Right,
but they
right,
can't
right,
continue it any longer.
So has
Change,
this
so we
ruling
have-
about having to go out for RFP, is that something that we've had legal take a look at yet, or?
It's everybody's, I mean, it's actually been in place for a couple of years, and we've kind of been able to push it off because our current auditor has been willing to renew
Okay,
for us
The
without
same
changing their terms.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it,
got it.
there's no way to get around it at this
I mean, we
point.
all know that 8% inflation rates, and he's kept the same fee for several years.
Yeah,
So I built in a little bit of an increase, but I didn't even ask him what he would increase it to, because I'm kind of, but I'm just kind of letting you all know if that's a path you would think you'd be willing to follow, we will try to work on something the next couple of weeks. We have to do an RFP.
Part of a workshop, or we can just come in at 8:30 instead of 9, or something like that, just knock out,
Yeah.
do that, it's not gonna be,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be hard to do.
Well, I think it's okay.
I was on finance for a while, just like a few of us here. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. reading.
Okay, well, I am going to adjourn this meeting.
Great.
Everybody have a wonderful day.
See you at 6:30.
Yeah. See you at 6.